Dear student of class 4, welcome back to another English class. So today we'll be starting a brand new chapter, that is chapter 12, Nasiruddin. So this chapter is all about wisdom and intelligence, how Nasiruddin he uses his wit and intelligence to save a nobleman. So let's start the chapter. There once lived a stout little preacher in Turkish town. His name was Nasiruddin. Nasiruddin was a simple man who gave free advices to people. In turn, the people loved and respected him. So, in a town of Turkey, there was a stout little preacher. Means what? A person who is short in height and a bit healthy person, right? So his name was Nasiruddin. And what qualities do Nasiruddin have? Nasiruddin was a man of high intellect, or he was a very wise man. He was a very clever man, right? So he was a good man at the same time. He was a very noble man. So he used to give free advices to the people. He used to give free advices to the people when people used to seek for any kind of advices. So in turn, people used to love him and respect a lot for him and respect him a lot. One day, Nasiruddin's wife came back in a bad mood from the public bath. She had gone there to have a bath and relax. Unfortunately, the attendants kept asking her to move from one cubicle to another. So during the old times, the city had a public bath. Nowadays still there are public baths, especially if you look in the in countries like Japan, there are public baths still used still today. So at that time, during the time of Nasiruddin, there used to be public baths where uh, people for went for bathing. There used to be a pond or a tank or maybe whatever. There used to be a bath for bathing. So people, it was open for public. So as one day, Nasiruddin's wife, she went to the public bath and she returned from the bath in a very bad mood. In a very bad mood. She was not in a good mood. She was angry, perhaps. Now, why was she angry? She was angry because she did not get enough respect in that public bath. Whenever any other customers or any other customer came to that public bath, she was asked to move from one cubicle to another cubicle. Means what? From one, suppose this is a public bath, so there were several uh, cubes or several tank like structure for bath. So whenever customers came, she was asked to move from one bath to another bath, as if she was not respected enough, she was not treated well, so she was in a very bad mood, right? They wanted to give the best ones to the wives of the daughters and merchants, wives and daughters of the merchant. This annoyed the good lady to a great deal. She returned home with a firm belief that only merchants were of any importance. Now, why she was in a very bad mood? She was already occupied with one of those cubicle or one of those baths. But when daughter or wives of merchant, who are merchant? Those who are businessmen. That those who are sellers and buyer, those are called merchant. So when merchant at that time were regarded as people of great respect and people of great respect and great power, right? Because the merchant had a lot of money back then. So whenever any wife or daughter of merchant used to go to that bath, they were given the best cubicle, and she was asked to move from the best one. The wife of Nasiruddin, she was asked to move and to make some room for the best, for the wife and daughters of the merchant. So she was very angry, and she realized that the wives and daughters of merchant, they were treated with more respect, whereas wife of or daughters of common people, they were not treated with that amount of respect. So she thought that she was of no importance. When Nasiruddin came back home in the evening, he saw his wife face one look and he knew that there was trouble in the store. He didn't have long to wait for the news. So when Nasiruddin came back in the evening, when he saw the face of his wife, he figured out that his wife was not in a good mood. She was really very angry, and he could understand it with just one look at his wife's face. And his wife started to talk about all those problems she faced in that public bath. You must become a merchant, she declared. Wait, exclaimed. What? Exclaimed Nasiruddin. A merchant? I don't have any money. Have you thought of that? Now she was very angry and now she was adamant to get all those respect which she thinks she deserves. Now she started to order. She ordered Nasiruddin that you, my man, must become a merchant. Now Nasiruddin was in utter shock. He did not know what to say. He was, in a shock. He said, What did you say? You want me to be a merchant? You want me, Nasiruddin, to be a merchant? But have you realized that I do not have any money to be a merchant? In order to be a merchant, you have to have some money. In order to start a business, you must have some money. I do not have that money. So how can you expect me to be a merchant? Money or no money, said the wife firmly. I won't become. If you won't become merchant, I will leave you. Now Shah's wife was in utter rage. So she said, "You have money, you don't have money. I do not care. The only thing I care about you, Mr. Nasiruddin, to be a merchant. And if you don't be a merchant, I am going to leave you." That's his wife declaration. And now Nasiruddin has to give a thought about it. Because if he don't become a merchant, his wife is going to leave him sooner or later. Nasiruddin realized that there was no use of arguing with her. She would not listen to reason very well. He said, "Give me 24 hours to work out of something." Now, Nasiruddin knew very well, he was a wise person after all. He said that his wife was really angry, really very much angry. She was adamant there is no use of argument. Now, his wife commanded him to be a merchant, so he should be a merchant. Now, from where to bring money, it's his problem. So he consoled his wife. He assured his wife, "Okay, I'll think about it. Give me just 24 hours of time because I am not a genie after all. You said me to be a merchant. I cannot transform into a merchant then and there. Give me just 24 hours of time. I will figure out something." Okay. Nasiruddin tossed about restlessly at night what to do. Now Nasiruddin was restless throughout the whole night. He was turning from one side to another. He was, he was sleepless. He was thinking about it all night. What to do to become a merchant? He was having all those thoughts in his mind to be a merchant. So throughout the night, he thought about it. The next morning he set off early on his donkey. All through the hot day he wandered about thinking. Suddenly his eyes fell on a little. The next morning he set off early on his donkey. All through the hot day he wandered about thinking. Suddenly his eyes fell on his little grey donkey and he jumped up in excitement. Maybe he could sell the donkey and get some money. So the next morning he set out somewhere on his donkey. So he was still thinking about how to be a merchant, how to raise some money for his business. So suddenly his eyes fell on that donkey which he was riding, and he said, "If I sell the donkey, I may have some money to start a business." And that was a great idea. So this idea struck in his mind. He rode to the market and sold his donkey to a man. After much haggling, he got 20 gold coins for the animal. It was enough to rent a stall on the market for a month. He had no money left to get anything sell. So he thought of that idea and he said, "Yeah, if I sell the donkey, I may get some money to start a business." So he went to the market and sold the donkey for 20 gold coins, which was enough for 1 month's rent for a stall in the market. So he decided to rent a small stall in the market, which cost for around 120 gold coin for 1 month. So he had just 20 gold coin. With that gold coin, he could rent a stall for 1 month only, and he did not have enough money to buy some goods or to buy some items to sell. So to become a businessman, to become a merchant, you have to have a stall, and inside the stall you have to have some goods, some art, some objects or some things to sell. Right? Yeah, he somehow managed the stall with 20 gold coins, but he did not have enough money to purchase the inventory, to purchase the items to sell. The next morning he saw Nasiruddin open. Oh, wait a second. The next morning saw Nasiruddin open shop in the market. Unlike other merchants, he had nothing to sell. Instead, He had an earthen pot in the one corner. Every day Nasiruddin rolled up the shutters in the morning and shut them the night. His wife, like those of the other merchant, now got special attention at public bath. Now Nasiruddin had nothing to sell in the market. So he did what? Every morning he went to the stall, went to the shop, opened the shutter of the shop, and returned back in his home in the evening, closing the shutter. Now his stall was different. He has nothing in his shop. He just went there. He sat on the stall the whole day, and he returned back in the evening. Now he was a merchant after all, because he had a stall in the market. So his wife started to get all those respect which she dreamed of, which she complained about previously. His wife started to receive all those respect. But if you look at the condition of Nasiruddin, he was having a very really bad time, because he only rented a stall. He had nothing to sell. Only he had an earthen pot, means what? A pot, yeah, pot made up of clay or mud, right? He has nothing in his shop, just an earthen pot, a pot made up of mud in the corner of the shop. Day after day he sat in his empty shop. He spent the day nodding at passerby and exchanging bits of news with those who stopped to chat. People are amused to see him, but were used to his strange way. So he had nothing to do in the stall whole day. So he sat there. He used to have a little conversation with those passerby. He used to give them advice, and he used to spend the day as usually, right? So people got used to it. First of in the beginning, people were really strange that Nasiruddin, he opened a stall, he had nothing to sell. Maybe it's his own way. So people did what? People used to pass in front of his shop. They used to sometimes they used to stop by his shop, and they used to have a little conversation. That's it. That's the way. One day, the mighty Tamerlane passed by his shop. He stopped at his shop in a surprise. What's this? He exclaimed, my clever Nasiruddin has a shop and nothing to sell. Now, one day, mighty Tamerlane passed by the shop. Now, one day, a very a royal person, a person of the royal family, Tamerlane, he passed through the front of the shop of Nasiruddin. And when he saw the shop of Nasiruddin, he was surprised. He was surprised because everybody knew how wise and intelligent was Nasiruddin. He was surprised because there's such an intelligent person. He is having a stall, but he has nothing to sell. So Tamerlane said, wait a second, said, my clever Nasiruddin has a shop with nothing to sell. Now, Tamerlane expressed his condolences that my man, my clever Nasiruddin, you have a shop but you don't have anything to sell. Nasiruddin was never lost of what he replied quickly. What greater good is there than wisdom, your majesty? He pointed at earthen pot in the corner and added, it is the wisdom I have sell on it. So Tamerlane was, now we know Tamerlane was a member of royal family. He was the Sultan of Turkey back then. Of the Turkish town where Nasiruddin used to live, he was the Sultan. He was the king, kind of king, you say. He was the Sultan of that town. So Nasiruddin, we know he was a very wise man. So when the Sultan Tamerlane, he expressed that my clever Nasiruddin, you have a stall and you have nothing to sell. What a pity. Then and then Nasiruddin said, your majesty. So your majesty is a way of uh, addressing kings or sultan or emperors, right? Your majesty, I have something very valuable to sell. I have something very precious. I have a precious item to sell in my shop. Now what is there? We all know that there is just an earthen pot in that empty shop. Nasruddin was okay. Now he pointed at the earthen pot in the corner and added, "It's wisdom I have to sell." Now in the corner of his stall in his of his shop, we saw that there was a earthen pot, a pot made up of clay. He pointed at that earthen pot and said, "My, your Majesty, I have something very valuable to sell. I have wisdom to sell." And the wisdom, where is the wisdom? We'll know about this. And what is the charge of one bit of wisdom? Asked Tamerlane. One gold coin, was the reply. Now Sultan Tamerlane asked, now what is the charge of the wisdom? Now Sultan Tamerlane was interested in buying some wisdom, so he asked Nasiruddin, what is the charge of wisdom? He said, one gold coin for one piece of wisdom. Alright then, here's the gold coin. Sell me wisdom for its worth. Now Sultan Tamerlane handed him over one gold coin and said, now give me wisdom of one gold coin. Nasiruddin took out a scroll from the pot, wrote a saying on it. Tamerlane looked at the large flowering that read, "Do not do anything without first considering its end." Now Nasiruddin took a piece of paper from that pot and he opened it and he read. And what was written on it? Do not do anything without first considering its end. Now his piece of advice to Tamerlane, his piece of wisdom to Sultan Tamerlane was that do not do anything without first considering its end. Tamerlane Tamerlane did what? Tamerlane took that scroll. He brought that scroll. Now what is a scroll? Now scroll is basically a piece of paper which is rolled onto something, right? Which is rolled. If you have seen in movies or some cartoons, you see the king had scroll, which they open as such like this, and they read the scroll, and then again they roll it down. So this is a scroll. So when Nasiruddin took out the scroll from the pot, which on which it was written, "Do not do anything without first considering its end." So Tamerlane, he bought the scroll and he did what? He framed the scroll. He framed the scroll and he read it every day. Now, as it happened, Tamerlane's minister were plotting to kill at that time. The terrible task had been given to the Barbar. So, Tamerlane's ministers, means what? Tamerlane, he was a sultan after all, so he had a whole bunch of ministers in his court. So, his minister were planning to kill him, to assassinate him, and the main task was given to the barber. So the minister there decided what they decided to give the responsibility to the barber to kill Tamerlane, because the barber had more access, easy access to Tamerlane, and he had tools to kill Tamerlane while he is doing his job. Now, while Tamerlane was, getting his beard and getting his work done, or he was getting groomed by that barber. So at that time, the barber decided to kill Tamerlane. So the barber had a razor in his hand and he was about to kill Tamerlane. At that time, Tamerlane, he did what? He remembered the piece of wisdom which was given to him by Nasiruddin, and he said, "Do not do anything without first considering its end." Means what? Do not do anything without first considering its end. Now the barber got terrified. He thought that Tamerlane knew what he was going to do. He knew about all their plans and about all their, about all the plans they made to kill Nasiruddin. The terrified barbar thought that his secret was out. Now, actually Tamerlane, he was doing what? He was reading the piece of wisdom which was given to him by Nasiruddin. But the barbar thought that Tamerlane, he knew everything about knew everything what they have planned, how they have planned. He knew everything about their whole plan. Now the barbar, he was very much scared. He was frightened. He thought that Tamerlane, he knew about the plan, so he started to beg for mercy. Tamerlane heard the barbar's confession. In stunned silence, he rounded up the traitors and had punished them. Then he sent for Nasiruddin. Now Tamerlane had heard the barbar's confessions. Now confession means what? When you express your guilt, when you express whatever you did wrong to someone, is called confession. Now when Barbar thought that maybe Tamerlane knew everything about the plan, so he quickly asked for forgiveness and he said everything about his minister, how they were trying to kill him, how they're planning to kill him. So he was surprised. Tamerlane was surprised. He was stunned. He was surprised, and he did what? He punished all those ministers who are associated with the planning of his murder. And he did what? He sent for Nasiruddin. He asked asked his royal guards to bring Nasiruddin to his palace. Your wisdom saved my life today. In fact, worth more than one gold, he gave Nasiruddin a parts of gold. Then he made him change charge of the province. Now he did what? So he sent someone from his royal palace to call Nasiruddin so that he can reward Nasiruddin for his great piece of advice. Now he said to Nasiruddin that the advice you have given me, the wisdom that you have given me has saved my life. So it's not worth one gold coin, it's worth even more. So he handed over Nasiruddin one bag full of gold coins as a reward, and he made Nasiruddin in charge of his province. Province means what? His state, his area, his kingdom. So thus Nasiruddin was the seller of Indom was successful. Now Nasiruddin was a successful merchant because he sold a very valuable piece of wisdom. So from this chapter, we learn that wisdom is, our best asset. If you are wise enough, we can tackle any situation. So now you do one thing: you read this chapter in your home, you watch the video again and again, and if you still face any problem, you please call me or you please contact me on the prescribed contact information during the specifically during the mentioned hours of call. So with this chapter came to an end. Thank you. Have a good day.